Hello and welcome back. Today we are right now discussing all the names that you give to the different degrees. For example, if you have a degree 1 equation, you're going to call it a linear equation. So those are the names that we're going to be discussing. And so that we're on the same page, we're going to go through a slight revision of what we were previously doing. So let's say we have this equation in front of us, okay? 2x squared is equal to 4. Now, how do you actually find out what the degree is of this specific equation, okay? Again, you're going to, the first thing that I do is look at the variables present. In this case, we have only x present. And then I try to find out the variable which has the highest power that I can actually visualize over here, okay? And in this case, that is going to be this x, which is going to have which has the power square, okay? Which has the power 2. And so this is how I identify that this is a degree 2 equation, okay? First of all, I look for the variables present, and then second of all, I look for the variable which has the highest power, and that power is going to be the degree of my specific equation, okay? So now that we know that this is the degree 2 equation, the actual name that we're going to be discussing right now is going to be quadratic, okay? This equation is going to be called a quadratic equation, okay? So again, let's just go through the list starting from 0, and we're going to go all the way to 5, okay? So when we have a degree 0 equation, okay, equation or a term, we're going to be calling it a constant, okay? For example, we have 7, we have 2, and we have 3. Now, you may be wondering where the variable in this case is present, and why, first of all, where the variable is present, okay? So here the variable, I actually wrote down the variable, and the reason for this is that the variable is almost always present, okay? But the thing is that anything raised to the power 0, which in this case is the reason why this is a degree 0, all of these are degree 0 terms. Whenever something is raised to the power 0, it just becomes 1. Okay, the answer is equal to 1. So, for example, we take the 7x raised to the power 0 case. Now, 7x to the power 0 is just as it is just equal to saying that what is 7 times 1, okay? Any number times 1 is just equal to that same number, in this case 7. Okay, so again, the reason for this is because any number raised to the power 0 is going to be equal to 1. In our case, that is x raised to the power 0, which is going to give us the answer 1. Now, again, so this is the reason why we're going to call the degree 0 terms constants, or why we call constants degree 0 terms, okay? So I hope you get that. Now let's moving on to degree 1 terms. Now degree 1 terms are called linear terms, or linear equations if you have a whole equation in front of you, okay? So let's take out our linear equations. 7x is equal to 1, 2x minus 5 is equal to 0, and x is equal to 9. Now the last one actually looks like an answer, you know, a value of what we actually might find after solving an equation. But again, this is a linear equation nonetheless. Reason being that in all of these equations, again, we have one variable x present, okay? And that variable has the highest power 1 in this case again. So that is why we are going to call it a degree 1 term. And the name is going to be linear. Now moving on, degree 2 terms. Degree 2 terms are called as quadratic equations or quadratic terms if it's just a single term. Okay, so we have our following example: x squared plus 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. Now, right in front of us, I can see 3 variables, okay, which have the powers 2, 1, and 0. Now, the highest power in this case is 2, and that is the reason why we're calling this a quadratic equation or a degree 2 equation, okay? So moving on to degree 3, we call degree 3 terms cubic equations, and so we have our following example: x cubed plus 7x squared minus 3 is equal to 0. Again, we don't need to have like x in this case, okay? So we have the single variable is x, right? So the variable x is in 3 different shapes, okay? Right now we only have it in we only have it in 3 different forms, but we could have had it in 4 different forms, right? So we have the x cubed and x squared and x raised to the power 0, but we don't have the x1, so it isn't necessary to have that. Again, We are trying to find out what the degree of this equation is by just looking at the variables and just picking out the variable which has the biggest power. In this case, it is 3. So that is why we're going to be calling it a cubic equation. So degree 4 terms. Now these are from now onwards, these words are not really that used that often. Okay, so you're not actually going to be dealing with quartic equations a lot, or in the next the degree 5 equations a lot. But again, it is okay to just go through them once. Yes, when we actually need them. Okay. So degree 4 terms are called as quartic equations, and we have a quartic equation right in front of us. 2x raised to the power 4. That is this is the part where the degree 4 terms comes out. So we can see we can see x's in 3 forms. We have 4, we have 3, we have 2, and then we have x raised to the power 0. Okay, right besides the negative 9. So again, we are going to call it a degree 4 term because it is the biggest. It has the biggest power, right? 4 is the biggest terms out of 4, 3, 2, and 0. 4 is the biggest, so that is why we're going to call it a quartic equation. Okay, so degree 5 is going to be called a quintic equation. So an example of a quintic equation may be 2x raised to the power 5 plus 3x squared minus 7 is equal to 0. Now in this case, we have 5, and we have 2, and then we have 0. So again, this is a degree 5 equation because we have the biggest, the variable which has the biggest power is 5. Okay, so that is, it's going to be called as a quintic equation, or you can call it a degree 5 equation. Okay, so that is all there is to the naming and how to actually identify, because it at first it isn't really that intuitive to find out what the degree of a term is, but I hope through some of these examples and practices it might actually help. So thank you for watching, and I really hope you learned something.